Roberta, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Likewise, Andrea, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Roberta, you work at the intersection of AI, transformation, and human behavior. What has working in AI and transformation taught you about being human?
I love this question. This is actually what I brought into my MBA final thesis. I've been interviewing a few leaders working in directly with AI transformation over the past couple of years. And I was asking exactly the same question. So I got like a list of things, right? But I would say that for me, the top thing is like AI is basically acting as a sort of mirror for us as a society, as an individual. So it's basically like really reflecting all the gaps that we have, and this is absolutely translated into what we do nowadays with AI in organization and the way we use it every day. The thing that it's really like catching my attention is actually what AI cannot do yet. So it's like really building trust, first of all. The fact that we are speaking each other right now, we had a short conversation before and we established actually that energy, right? That sort of trust. And this is beautiful and this is very human. And this is something that AI cannot do yet, right? Release emotions. This is something, it's a topic that is very close to my heart. As an entrepreneur, as a person in this world, I would say as well, we need so much that emotional awareness and emotional release. And even if you can speak with AI, basically nowadays, this is what we are still doing, we still cannot really forget about that biological dimension of who we are. So this is definitely like a couple of points that I feel like I want to address. And maybe the last point is that what transformation is teaching me every day is definitely not about technology itself, but it's about the human layer. Maybe we will dive into it later on. But the most of AI pilots, transformation initiatives, and projects nowadays are actually failing, not because of the technology, not because of the quality of the project itself, but because of the human. It's like that capacity that we have to adapt, to absorb the change. And I would say capacity and also willingness to absorb the change. So yes, I think those are two main points.
How can leaders make that transition more successful?
I've been thinking, so there are like a few aspects that I feel like I need to answer to that question. But the first one that really comes to my mind is like leadership nowadays needs to be sense makers. What it means specifically for AI transformation is like the most of people within organization, but also like externally, is like they do not really understand why they have to use AI like every day. And there are a lot of emotions beneath that behavior, right? It's like there is the fear of replacement, fear of like missing or losing their own value. So if a leader wants to make sure that their team, their organization are successful, they actually need to act as a bridge between that gap between what the organization needs and what the impact of AI can be and what the human needs on the other side of the bridge. So in that sense is really filling the gap by creating that value and that meaning so that people are actually open to embrace the change, to adopt AI. And so that's one very important aspect of leadership. And the other side, I think it's intentionality. I'm speaking like I'm working. I'm a founder, but I'm also working as a consultant for transformation. And what I'm hearing a lot is like leaders are making like billion euros of decision every day, like to adopt a tool rather than another. And the question that they're asking themselves, it's what AI can do, right? But I actually encourage them to shift a little bit their perspective into more like what is that we need to solve? What's the problem? So it's like more focusing on the friction rather than on the feature of AI itself. So in that sense, the question is not like what tool can I adopt now? So to show that my company is AI driven, AI powered, or AI ready. It's more, do we really need AI for solving this specific problem? So in that case, intentionality, ownership, agency from the human perspective, especially the leader, it's fundamental for the success of AI transformation.
Beyond the discussion regarding the ROI of AI, there's also a lot of insights that are emerging from the people that are actually using AI. And there's the AI work slop that has emerged as a term that we often see employees use across organizations. What is your view on that, and how can we actually prevent it?
So my view is really clear on the work slop because I lived and experienced it in my own skin. So when I started using AI, I was still in corporate, and I was in a job that where I didn't really feel the value of myself and what I was doing, right? There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of unclarity about the strategy, continue change, both in strategy and in culture. And so I started using AI to really draft like content or I don't know, meetings, points, strategy, content strategy, these kind of things. And suddenly I realized on myself that it was a sort of empty work, the one that I was doing. It was like automizing my task without really giving any kind of context. So I realized myself that the thing that I was producing weren't really full of meaning for me. And this is like, so I stopped because I became aware of what I was doing. And that awareness, it was clear to me that the main point of the work slop, it was a lack of engagement with what I was doing. So in the same way, work slop, it's a disengagement problem rather than a technology problem, because you can get amazing results with AI nowadays, very accurate. If the person behind the screen and using that specific tool, that it might be like the majority of the case, ChatGPT or Claude, to draft like very, very simple documents within organization, if they put the meaning and the value on what they do, if they believe in what they're doing, and their ultimate goal is actually to produce something that has an impact. What happens nowadays is actually that people just want to show that they are using AI. They're fast. So if they get a task, they can produce beautifully formally structured document, but then when you read them and you go like into deep like understanding and you want to apply that content to the specific context, then you realize that it's like it is really unusable. And it's something that, yes, you could, it has been fast, but it doesn't solve the problem that you're trying to solve. It doesn't help with team coordination or customer education or tool adoption. So this is like work slop. And for me, it's very clear when something like this happen, it is because the person using it is disengaged with the task that he or her needs to perform.
What human skills do you believe will matter most in the age of AI that technology cannot replace?
That's also part of the thesis that I've been doing research for over the past year. And every time I was asking the question to the people I was interviewing, they were very clear on the empathy side of it. That was I think it was actually the number one skill that they were rating as this is like a non-negotiable skill that you have to do, and something that AI cannot really replace. It is true, AI is getting better and better. And we can see, for example, from Gen Z to millennial using AI to have daily conversation, almost replacing it with the therapists, right? So it's true that empathy is becoming better, even from AI standpoint. But the energy that you get when you have like a real conversation, when you look at the eye, where maybe you hug or touch the hand, or you can I'm thinking about a Japanese refrain that there is, which is human eye, he a human eye. It's basically reading the air. It's like the context. This is a word that they use to describe people that are specifically good at empathy, because they understand the context without knowing the details, without even speaking, right? So empathy is definitely like the number one of skill. The second one that is specifically applicable within organization is critical thinking. Critical thinking, it's basically the skill that we must learn ASAP, I would say. We must master, actually, specifically while using AI, because the role of a human has been changing and will be changing so fast again. That is like AI, it is actually our assistant. It will be drafting email, strategy, doing research, and so on. But if you do not apply that critical thinking that I was saying before, is like, I need to understand if this is applicable to my work directly, then it will be everything like a work slop, right? So I need to develop that side. I need to develop that judgmental thinking as well, like to understand, should I believe in this? Should I refine further my research? Is this like a source that I can trust, right? From where it's coming from? Does it make sense for my customer? Does it make sense for my team? So in this case, critical thinking, the relational intelligence, that is probably linked to the empathy as well, but it's much broader. This is another top, very important skill that we must refine, that ability to still stay connected with real people. We were mentioning before, like younger generations. Younger generation are facing like a lot of challenges in real connection. They feel almost afraid of public speaking, of just approaching someone else and saying, hey, hello, how are you? My name is whatever. My name is Roberta. What do you think about this? Or like receiving feedback, these kind of things that we are really, we need to be good at nurturing and encourage, to really build, especially within organization. I would say like other two, it's creativity. Creativity is something really, really important to me. When you outsource your own creativity to the artificial intelligence, it might be for a post on LinkedIn, it might be simply for like a content strategy, or even for art, and you like 100% outsource it without stop thinking and adding your own perspective to it, then this is something that you need to be aware of, because it will, the consequence is actually like a cognitive erosion, is the almost incapacity to feel and to drive solution to a problem, because the first thinking that you would have is actually, let's ask to AI, what should I be doing? So in that sense, like cognitive erosion might be one of the consequences of not mastering creativity. And then before, I was mentioning about the role of leadership in creating sense and meaning. So if you lose that capacity to give, to ask, and wondering for a sense and the value of what you're doing, then everything become like empty. It's just a matter of delivering a task and not thinking or designing the impact that you desire to have by doing the task. So it's just a task delivery without the impact on people that in the end are our consumers, the people behind the screen. So even if we want to tie to economy, this is like extremely important.
So it almost feels like we have to find that balance between how can we leverage the power of AI but also bring our own knowledge and energy and contribution to truly co-create and elevate ultimately our fulfillment. Do you believe that is the ideal route forward?
Yeah, well, balance is definitely one of my core values. So I do believe in balance in everything I do. Is like, you can have the positive pole or the negative pole. And the truth for me, or the joy is always in between. Specifically, what I believe in terms of joy and AI and the way we are working. So the future of work, for me, it's the awareness. And this is something that I've been exploring a lot. I'm also a mindfulness coach. I've been studying Japanese culture, Buddhism. So I'm all in like this inner exploration. I believe in inner leadership. And actually, I believe that sustainability starts from within. So joy is something that it's very, it's a, everyone has a different perception of joy. But for me, it's like you need to be aware of what brings you joy, in the small things and in the presence of the right now. So for me, for example, being in this podcast, being invited by you, having the chance to speak with you and to spread the voice about what my voice is, this is bringing me joy already in this moment. I'm not waiting for from here in a few months I will be speaking in I don't know where, like I would have this great opportunity, I will become a billionaire or whatever. And this is something that I learned and I built through all like the past years, actually, because I believe like we need a shift from joy is a sort of you hard work, then there is an outcome, and then there is the reward, and this is the joy. For me, instead, joy, it's like the condition to performance, so it's not like the post performance, because as I said before, like you work hard on something, that you get the outcome that you were hoping for, and then you get the reward, so the joy. For me, it's like it's really becoming a sort of contrary thing. It's like it's the joy, it's the intention that you put in everything you do. When you have that alignment with your values, with your intentions, then you're already a joyful person and you can also face things differently. You were asking me before, like, how is the life as entrepreneur? It's definitely not everything golden rose, it's a roller coaster. It's a lot of up and down. It's super hard. But every time I have like a difficult day or hour or whatever, I come back to myself, to my anchor, and this is bringing me joy. So the way we interact with AI, it is strictly connected as well to those values. And if we are not aware, if we do not do that hard job to understanding, to reconnect with ourselves, then AI will win somehow, and we will just outsourcing not only our cognitive skills but our essence, really.
Is this one of the biggest concerns that you have about AI?
Yes, I would say so. And probably that's why I'm feeling so passionate about spreading the voice with other people. And I'm willing to speak as much as possible with people. The job that I'm doing also as a founder is to build actually, yes, by using AI, because I believe that can help us specifically to scale, but to build that capacity from within. I believe that the real transformation, the successful transformation, starts from within, and that awareness. If we don't start from there, there won't be any human future, probably. I'm thinking now about the physical surgery that a lot of people are going through, right? It's like we want to meet certain criteria of beauty. We want to be in the end all the same, with the certain lips, with a certain noise and the skin and whatever. And it's like we want to standardize ourselves. But the beauty of humans is actually our diversity. Depending on the way we are going to use AI and we are going to interact with AI, the concern is that we won't only be similar from a physical standpoint, but also from a cognitive standpoint. We will all be right in the same post on LinkedIn. This is already happening. we will all be writing the same email or the same book, maybe, or the same heart, you know? So, you know where I want to go, right? This is a concern for me. And it's being a mom, it's even like a higher concern because I'm thinking, I'm seeing my child having 6 years, being 6 years old, and I think like it's so nice to see him starting thinking, you know, with his own mind, with the curiosity, and being creative in his own way. And yes, I'm afraid that he will be losing it, or at a certain point, he will be thinking that this is not worth it, you know, his own creativity, his own mind, and the beauty of our brains.
Yeah, we certainly live in an interesting time. I want to go back to the topic of joy. And if there were a recipe for living more joyfully, what would be the three main ingredients from your life experience to date?
One is what I was mentioning before. For me, it's presence and awareness. It's a deep work that it's a must have right now. You know, I feel like from a humanities standpoint, we've been sort of postponing the hard work for decades. It's like I'm a millennial and I've been living, you know, that part where the burnout for the pandemic in 2020. And at a certain point, we were sort of thinking that we were improving, actually. We started talking about mental health. There was a lot about mindfulness. There was a lot about diversity and inclusion within organizations. There was a lot about self awareness, actually. And then at a certain point, AI hit, right? Well, not only AI, there are lots of other variables right now in the world, thinking about geopolitics, right? Without really entering into it. But there are so many things happening in the same time that are really putting out a lot of pressure in we must on it now. And human consciousness, it is actually like something that we need to start really rebuilding, and take being aware of. So presence and awareness is definitely like the first point within my strategy for joy. Connection with real people. I've been working in remote and as a solopreneur for the past basically 5 6 years, and especially since I started the entrepreneur path, I've and starting working every day for a lot of hours with AI. I started understanding the importance of real connection because of my mental health, physical health as well. So it has become actually a practice for me, like to reach out to people and to meet them in person. I'm trying to rebuild my connection, like here in Barcelona especially, but also every time I travel, and I travel a lot traveling. That's also probably part of my receipt. But I tend to send like a message and saying, hey, we've been chatting, we've been working together, like for whatever reason. I will be here. Would you like to grab a coffee together? You know? So that real connection for me, it is super important. And it's so different because it is actually building a real connection with the person. As I was saying before, the energy that you have when you are in front of that person, when you can see them smiling, doubting, giving the unfiltered version of themselves because they are not being recorded, they are not exposed, right? That is something beautiful and something that really gives you energy. The number three is super, super important as well. Actually, like the personal permission. Do you allow yourself to feel the joy? That's a question that I've been asking myself. Of course, I'm coming from years of therapy and that deep work that I was telling you to you before. Yes, personal permission to feel joy, to not always feeling guilty or feeling unproductive when you feel pleasure, when you want to do something that is not creating any outcome that can be shared with people, but it's just for you, you know? So really allowing yourself to feel that joy. This is for me like my personal receipt.
Amazing. Is there something that you're still learning or unlearning right now, given everything that you have shared?
Indeed, I'm a lifelong long learning journey. I would say it's a constant learning. So the thing where I'm struggling the most every time, despite of awareness, despite of the deep work, is understanding that busyness, so being busy all the time, is not equal to being productive. In fact, it might be exactly the opposite. I've been pushing myself a lot over the past weeks because I've been part of a Founder Institute accelerator. Um, and it's been super intense. I had to make a lot of decisions. In the meantime, of course, life also happens, right? And so at a certain point, I found myself to be like sort of foggy or blind. I couldn't really make any decision. And so I just decided to really, really stop for 3 days, which is not a long period, but still it's something that I'm allowing myself that I didn't do over the past month. And yeah, and I've been doing things that are not productive. I've been just painting, reading, cooking, having a walk without counting calories or the steps or whatever, you know. And I felt so good. I felt so refreshed. So, yes, this is something that I'm learning to unlearn. And on the learning side as well, probably it's being patient with people that are not at my same stage in terms of change. Sometimes it's creating a lot of frustration because it's like I think, you know, I'm going forward because this is already part of me. And speaking with so many people, it's like I see things that for me are obvious. And so I tend to become frustrated, you know. So being patient and respecting the pace of everyone because we are all coming from different backgrounds and awareness, especially. This is something that I'm learning every day. And well, my son is my biggest teacher, actually.
How beautiful. If someone listening today feels overwhelmed by change, what challenge would you give them to feel more in control?
I think it would be linked to taking a small step. Again, not something that feels overwhelming or completely out of your control or of your comfort zone, because we every day we do things like that are pushing us out of our comfort zone, specifically within this AI transformation. An advice that I always give to employees are actually like coming to me and saying, what should we do regarding that? Because it's too much for me. It is like really taking a small step. Starts with the friction, how AI can improve actually something that is causing you like energy drain, for example, something that is taking for you too long and you would like to feel a relief in what you're doing. It might be like summarizing a contract, for example, that you have to read, or it might be like to automate a certain task, but very, very small step. And I also understand that sometimes what I refer to as small step might be like a big step actually for someone. So it's really every time is not, do not compare yourself to others. Do a small step within your framework, I would say, your daily life, and you will already see like a big change. You will feel the control, because what is driving us crazy about this transformation is that we feel out of control. So how do you gain that control? By taking small, not overwhelming step, and you will see the change step by step.
Amazing. Roberta, it's been an immense pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for all the wisdom you have shared.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It's been a joy for me to be part of your podcast and to speak with you. Yes, thank you.